Welcome to Andy and Jesse's farm in the foothills of the Pyrenees. Our permaculture project was largely fruit trees and gardens until we acquired new land and began farming rare breed sheep. The breed of our sheep is called Gira or Sudat and comes from Spain. Our climate is a cool Mediterranean mixture of drought and occasional heavy rain with dry cold winters. There are various problems associated with the landscape and with the climate. One of the big problems we've got with the landscape is slumping due to cracked areas in the ground when it's very dry and heavy rains penetrating into these cracks and making the clay slide on the sloping rock surface which is underneath the ground. This slumping occurs slowly over time, you hardly notice it, but it's happening all the time. What we decided was we needed deep-rooted trees and deep-rooted bushes, perennials, to hold our landscape, because the grass is just not capable of holding it in these conditions. Due to our summer drought and our dry winters, we have a lack of forage for the sheep. In springtime we have lots of grass, and later on in the year the grass just doesn't grow and we have to supplement our flock with whatever we can find. We've been looking at a solution for a particular site on our land where we try to combine solving the erosion problem with growing a forage project for the sheep. This is the design solution we came up with for a particular site. On this picture we see the cross-section of the original slope. The red dotted lines which show the levels made by our water level to get our contours. Here you can see logs and stakes which will eventually hold up the earth. Now you can see the finished terraces with the modified cross-section. The terraces were created by digging the holes and putting the earth behind the logs. The blue arrows show the direction of water running down the slope, and the blue channel is the swale. The swale waters the plants, and the plants are mulched. The mulch is organic material which stops evaporation. So now we've got the design, let's get started. Here you can see Jesse holding the water level. The water level is a big U-tube full of water, and if both ends are held at the same level, the water finds its natural level. It takes two people to work with the water level, so you have to constantly refer to the other person, look back and fro, and make sure you've both got your water at the same number. Once you've got your level, you bang a small peg in, and that shows exactly that that place is level with the other end of the tube. So the initial pegs have marked out our level, and now we can start putting in the terraces. We use chestnut stakes to hold up the logs. The reason we use chestnut is it's easy to split, and in the ground it lasts quite a few years without rotting out. The logs we're putting behind a poplar. They can be any kind of log that's not very good for burning and will turn to organic material. Using the pegs that we've levelled, we can now start to dig out our first swale. The way we do this is we mark out a little behind each peg with a spade and then go along and dig out with a hoe. The swale might not be exactly level because the ground is very irregular, and even though we've measured it to the millimetre with our water, when we actually come to dig the land it's a little more complicated. So when we finish the swale we go back over with the level and make sure that everything's precise. Here you can see how we dig the holes for the small plants and bushes. The reason for square holes is the roots will find a corner in the hole and then they will start to penetrate through into the earth layer. Each hole has a couple of shovels of compost, and we mix also a couple of shovels of good earth in there, or we can use the earth from the site mixed with the compost to plant into. When we plant, we compact the soil around the plant to make sure there's no air in contact with the roots. This particular plant is a ligustrum or Japanese privet. It's very vigorous even in dry landscapes, and we find the sheep enjoy eating it very much. Now to finish up the project we have to mulch everything. That means covering all the bare earth that we've created with some organic material. This is to stop the earth washing away in the first big rains, but also it's to keep humidity in the ground because we're going to have tremendous evaporation if we don't cover this ground. Here we are putting mulch around the plants. Obviously each plant has to be able to see the light. We mustn't cover the plants, we just have to make sure that their roots and the area around them are going to be protected from drying winds and sunshine. Here's some footage of the finished project. In a couple of years we'll be able to see the bushes quite high and there'll be almost a solid hedge of evergreens for the sheep to nibble on. We will have to fence the whole project out from the sheep. Within 4 or 5 years we'll be able to give them free access to this area because we'll have a solid hedge and they'll be able to chew at it when they feel like it. We use manual labour, contour planting of forage, bushes and trees, evergreen drought resistant species which also fix nitrogen. Behind them miniature swales to hold a small amount of water which will soak in and water these plants. To stop the earth falling down the bank while we're creating this planting structure and to make small terraces in the long term, we've used old rotten poplar logs and stakes. These will hold the ground for a few years and eventually rot down in place. Each tree planting site is mulched after we've finished planting. So good luck with your project, and if you need any additional information you can always go and check out our website.